Let's take a look at how to use gradient. You can activate gradients from the tools menu. Clicking on this option, have the shortcut G to activate gradient. Click on this, and I would suggest you take a new layer. Do this on separate layer, because if I do this on the same layer, let's say if I do this now, I'll just click and my old layer is gone, overlapped by this gradient effect. So it's advisable to use the new layer and then do the edit gradient. So if I click and drag, simple, then it will give me an effect like this. You can see that currently I have black to white. So from transition of black to white, this gradient will appear on my screen. I can change the direction. If I go from here, it will change the direction of the gradient. This is the basic simple linear gradient. This is the first option, and I can use this along with the blending modes. I can give multiply or screen, so this will create such kind of an effect. Multiply and bring down the opacity a bit, so you can see there is a subtle effect of shadow in here. So I can use this particular linear gradient, creating this kind of an effect. And if I hold shift, this will go in straight line. If I don't hold shift, I can turn ways, but now if I hold shift, it will go in the straight line even though my cursor is here. Okay. So next we have an option that is called radial gradient. We'll go from inside to outside. Click and drag from center to outside. It will appear something like this. And if I give reverse here, it will make the opposite, it will take the opposite colors. Now again, I can use this same way, multiply, and it gives me this beautiful effect of vignette. You can create this kind of effect with the radial gradient. Of course, I can change the color of the radial gradient. I can just go to normal. I can click here, and I have few preset options of gradient with me here. I can choose any of this. Let's say I'll choose this for now and do the gradient. Now if I do the multiply option, but it does make a tonal difference on the image as well. So I'd suggest you should keep this one white and the outer one blue. Just give a blue halo effect here. You can use other options and see whichever suits the best and make the best out of gradients. This looks fine. So you can experiment with different combinations of blend modes and gradients as well. Next I have this angle gradient. If I click and drag, it will start from one point and will complete to the other point. This is something we don't use much as such. Next is reflected gradient. If I click and drag, this is like a reflection of a gradient. Here it is the center point, and in opposite ways the gradient applies. It's the same as linear gradient, but the two linear gradients combined on opposite of each other. Next we have the diamond gradient. If I click and drag, it will just give me a diamond like shadow highlight here. The more the length of the click is, the bigger the diamond. If I click short, give me a small diamond. Okay, so I can choose the opacity of the gradient as well. I can decrease the opacity, and if I decrease the opacity, I can overlap the gradients on top of each other. As you can see, these are overlapping. Say I'll just give It's 15% opacity. It's just overlaps. Dither should keep the dither on because dither would give like quality, the smooth transition here. So for quality purposes, keep the dither option check marked here. Transparency, if you need it, you can have it, or else you can just toggle it off. You can use transparency in here. Here I have transparency option, transparency. If I delete this layer and take a new layer again, and here you see there is a transparency working now. Another ways you can access gradients is from here, adjustments, click here, and you have the option gradient here. This is a smart way to use gradient. It's better than the one in the toolbar. So prefer this one over the one in toolbar. Click here. I have the same options here, but notice that I get a separate layer, that is a smart layer, and I can just edit it, clicking and dragging as per my choice. As you can see, I have better control over this gradient rather than the one here. Say this one, you can just give OK and change this color to dark and multiply. Bring down the opacity, and if I don't like the desired result, I can just go back by double clicking on this. I can change the linear to radial, change here, and I can even make the scale bigger, more bigger, there, okay, and I can give a multiply. Beautiful. So I prefer this one and keep the dither on for quality purposes. Yes, and here angle. I can change the angle of this using this simple. It's very straightforward option. Angle, reflected time, and all the options you have in here. Because of multiply, you don't see them normal. Okay, now give reflected. Scale is way too big to notice the reflection. Yeah. Okay. Or the diamond gradient. I also have the mask option here in case I want to remove some part of this gradient. One more thing with the gradient I have is an option of choosing the color, creating my own gradient here. Let's say choose a linear for now. Click here, and if I click here, I will add new color, and this color will be my foreground color. I can click here and I can change the tone of the color. Okay, and I can change the shading distance between two colors. I can make it brighter or darker using this shader here. I can even choose the distance of the shades between 2 points. I can even control the opacity clicking on this. I have an opacity option here. Let's bring down the opacity, and you'll see the opacity has gone down. And I can choose as many colors as I want. Say this, more, click, change the color of your choice again, click. And if I added way too many colors, then I can just click here and delete. I can just click and drag and it will go away. Click and drag and go away. Okay. One more option that we have here in the gradient is we can use the gradient in the shapes. These are the vector shapes. We can use this gradient over here. Let's say I have my shape here, and I can go to fill option. I have a gradient option, and the same gradient options came up, and I can just click and edit whatever I want here. So let's take an example what I can do with the gradient option here. Let's take this example of a cosmetic. This product. I'll make up this kind of a product design using the gradients only. As you can see, these are particularly gradients only here. So let's take a shape, this particular shape. I can change the shape later. I'll just bring it down here for the reference, and press U. I don't need a stroke for now, so I'll just skip none. Control T to transform. Get the width aligned exactly with this. Now what I can do is go to gradient. Currently gradient is on 90 degree, so I'll just give it on 0 degree. So this is now exactly what I see here. Now if I click here, I'm going to choose this color, first color, this color. Give OK. Click here. This is my another color, so it will be this, or I can choose this color. Okay. I have another option. Click this color. Can just bring it here and this little more close, and the shade, little more shade here, and this color in between. I'll just do random colors for now, and then be precise with the shading of the color. Okay, this in here. Here and have another shade. One more. I have a little white like shade here, so that one here. And finally, I have this shade. Sometimes it's not able to pick up, so you can just go manually and do white, a little pink. I think it demands one more shade here. Yes, that's fair enough. this particular shade. There. And there's a shade I desired, and let's work on this now. Okay, so I got my product, something like this. Let's not very accurate, but you can get a desired result and create the product something like this. And after you've done this, you can just transform this, right click, convert to smart object, Control T transform, and you can use the perspective tool to accurately transform it and make it look like the ball. Right click and perspective, and this goes inside, something like that. And this goes a little bit outside. So now I got the shape of this particular bottle. Similarly, I could do the whole thing. I could do the lipstick part, this, and the cap as well.